Thanks, Rev. We want to welcome Neil Prolly Hamad from Complexity to the desk to share his expert analysis. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
And we heard Riv talk about it already. That was just an insane start to a best-of-5 series. Do you guys think that this is going 5 games at this point?
Oh, I hope so now.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Dig has some things that TSM hasn't practiced against yet. So they're going to have to either adapt or ban out, the kind of Dig strategies that are coming out now.
And I love Dig's idea to start off a best-of-5 with a split push strategy. Not only because it's their bread and butter, it's what Zion Spartan is known for, but also because that's how you put the most pressure on your opponents. You put them early on into forcing them between these decisions all game long, and you can kind of ruin their morale really early in a best-of-5 series. That's a great way to get an upper hand for the next games.
Yeah, because there's definitely going to be some kind of discussion in the team where people are like, oh, we need to stop this Nasus. Oh no, let's go do this. So there's going to be some kind of strife that's going to happen when you're in split push and you can't really deal with it.
Yeah, we could see many times, like when Dyrus went in on that dragon fight, which we actually have a replay of, and Prolly has been so kind to say that he will walk us through this replay. Let's get this dragon fight up on the screen.
All right, so in this one, it looks like Crumbs is trying to flank, and TSM had already started the dragon, so they're pretty much baited into doing this, or completely leaving and just getting chunked. So at this point, they just need to decide on a side, and Dyrus goes in while Bjergsen and Lustboy are too far out to help him. So he just gets chunked for free and has to back out. And at this point, it's just TSM needs to salvage what they've got and try to get out. And they actually end up losing the dragon for this as well.
Right, and that was one of the very, very early stages where some miscommunication will, just cost you a dragon. But later on, it gets more and more important with the Nexus going down in the final trade.
Let's talk real quick, though, about the Nasus pick. Where did that come from? Is that simply because they saw the Maokai come out and they were confident in his ability to out-split push him late in the game?
I'm not really positive. They do have purple side, so it could have been saved for a last pick mid or a last pick top. I think they actually got all the picks they wanted to, and ban pick phase went the way Dig wanted because they first picked a top laner, which means they could counter pick top and then save last pick for counter pick mid. So they got 2 safe lanes and 1 favorable lane. So I think that was just kind of the way they wanted to play it.
As for where it came from, Zion has played a lot of Nasus before, but there's a guy in North American solo queue. I'm sure you've ran into him as well, Sir HC Easy. He has like 5 accounts and he only plays Nasus.
Yeah, the 1,000 stack Nasus.
Stacks them all the way up. But that's the style, right? You just keep split pushing. And you were talking about his Trinity Force early, and you're like, oh, he's not going to be able to do much in team fights, but he just destroyed all the turrets.
Yeah, it was really important that they followed the playstyle of Nasus they wanted to, because if they did Spirit Visage, Trinity Force, and then tried to fight, I think they probably would have just lost the game with Maokai building the way he did. But they waited until he got armor, and then he just started taking down turrets left and right.
I want to look at the effectiveness of the Nasus in terms of the pressure that he put on the map. We're going to pull up another replay here, 43 minutes in. It's the Baron, where Dig trades 1 death for the Baron while Maokai and Nasus are stuck in the bot lane. Kobe, if you don't mind walking us through this one.
All right, so this is one of the many Barons. Let's roll the clip here and see what they were. So this is brought about because the inhibitor's already down, so there's pressure down here with Nasus on the bottom. Dignitas have no vision, though, and they get up there with the Lantern from Kiwi Kid is enough to scare them off. Oh yes, this is the one where Crumbs jumps in. Kiwi Kid has been getting picked off and killed all game long. And this time, it works out in Dignitas' favor. He is the martyr for the team. Crumbs jumps in for the very, very, very necessary Baron steal right there. And he's able to get it with just a little bit of added damage from some missiles there from Cutie Pie. But when a person keeps getting killed over and over like that, they're worth less and less gold. So it's pretty much all about the death timers. But a whole Baron for just a support. Huge win for Dignitas right there, and they were able to roll that one into the game.
Yeah, that was a really good play. And I think at the same time, TSM could have been more cautious when they went on Kiwi, because the way Kiwi got caught, Cog was already hitting him. Like, Bjergsen and Amazing could have stayed on Baron just to kind of secure it. But right when they all left, Dig just green-lighted it. Kha'Zix jumps over, Corki rockets, Ziggs bomb, and they were just able to sneak a Baron basically in front of TSM.
And that fight highlighted TSM's inability to make a decision in the split second, or at least they did make one, but it wasn't the right choice in that moment. So, Prolly, what other options does TSM have in that situation when dealing with the split push?
I think they needed to be kind of more creative with the way they were getting picks. I noticed they went to top line of mid and tried to get a lot of picks when they were pushing mid, but that's kind of, everyone kind of knows that spot. It's very obvious when you're pushing mid to be scared of the sides. So I think they just need to get more creative in where they're forcing picks. So when Kiwi's coming toward, they can just insta-kill and walk away. Because they did that a few times, but then Dig caught on and started playing more safe, and then they just never got their engage off Cinder Stun or at least in kick.
All right, in that game, we also saw that TSM had the lead in kills, right? 15-6 kills. But that's the danger of the split push. Is there a way that they could have snowballed those kills earlier in the game to get more of a lead and not have to worry about the Nasus later?
So Jat mentioned it a couple of times. Maokai is a big part of their engage and their team fight. You know, that's all. Maokai is all about the team fight. And since he was down there stuck versus the split push versus Nasus, it was all about their picks, and they did it well a couple times with Syndra. She has a long-range stud from the Fog of War. But we saw how hard it was. Even though the 4-man squad of TSM seemed to have the upper hand, they couldn't make anything happen before Zion Spartan was able to take some objective.
Yeah, I think they needed to force those kind of picks earlier on and force Nasus to join the fights. Because, yeah, he did Spirit Visage, Trinity Force. And at that time, 0 armor versus a Cog with, like, Bork and Trinity. You know, he would just get torn up. So I think they just needed to bait more fights or just kind of, you know, let Nasus do his thing and get bigger stuff on the other side of the map.
And there was one point where Turtle even came down to the bottom lane, and they could have stayed there for the kill very early on, but they decided to send him back up instead and go for the Baron contest instead of taking out Zion that early on and then trying to shove something. Yeah. Maybe a small window that they might have missed.
Yeah, just a little bit more indecision there. Now, the last thing I want to kind of touch on before we move on to a commercial break is the red side strategy. Now, TSM has seen the red side strategy. Do they have to hold out on their top pick? What do they do now to combat this that Dig has come up with?
They do have a number of more games since this is a big best of 5. So what they could do is just ban Nasus and then continue pick ban phase the way they want to and see if Dig has more strats. Because at this point, Dig has the Nasus strat with purple side. So if they ban that out, they would have to have 2 more purple side strats that they can win pick ban phase with.
Or they don't have to get baited into first picking Maokai, and they can pick another guy who can actually deal with a split pushing Nasus. So yeah, there are definitely more options to them available.
I don't know. Does Dyrus play Riven?
Yes.
Does he?
He played in the best Riven NA tournament, I think. I don't know how far he got.
Yeah, how far did he get? That's the big question there. All right, well, we've got to take a quick break, but keep it dialed right here. When we return, we'll see if TSM can even up the score against Dignitas in Game 2 of our quarterfinal series. Stay tuned.